Welcome to another episode of Not Too Deep, the award-winning podcast with me, your host, Grace Ann Helbig the First. Today is a very exciting episode. As always, we have Nick Viall here with us today. You might remember, I guess you remember him from The Bachelor? Or that guy that you see in a bar that you're like, you were on that TV show with the dating and you had sex on TV, right? Well, he's more than that. He's a essential oil connoisseur. He's got very strong opinions about The Rock, and his grandmom Phyllis is maybe my new spirit animal. So get into this episode of Not Too Deep with Nick Viall.
Not too deep.
This episode of Not Too Deep is brought to you by, you probably guessed it, Squarespace. Turn your great idea into a reality with Squarespace. They make it easier than ever to launch your passion project, whether you're showcasing your work, selling products of any kind. They have beautiful templates and the ability to customize just about anything, so you can easily make a beautiful website all by yourself. But if you do get stuck, Squarespace's 24/7 award-winning customer support is there to help. Head to squarespace.com/grace for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use the offer code GRACE, GRACE, to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
Not too deep. Not too deep. With Grace Helbig.
Oh, Nick Viall.
Nice
Viall.
shirt. I'm just not,
Oh, thank you. I made it myself.
Did you?
Yeah. I like to really broadcast exactly how I perceive myself to the outside world.
You think you're an idiot?
Yeah, I don't know anything about anything. I like to think it's self-aware.
I don't.
What does your shirt
I don't
say?
buy that.
Room
Service. I got it on
room
sale.
service. Okay, so we each are sending messages with our clothing.
I will bring you your food.
Thanks. Thank you. Nick Viall.
This is
Nick
Viall.
V.
Just-
Viall.
oh.
Viall.
Viall.
Okay, this is the thing that we've started this season of the podcast, is that I start by asking every guest, what's your deal?
What's my deal? Yeah. Like, why am I the way I am? It's a great question. I'm on that journey trying to figure that out. Can I get back to you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, hopefully we uncover what your deal is throughout this podcast.
Well, that'd be great. I feel like this will solve a lot of my problems.
So I obviously, like we talked about a little bit, low-hanging fruit is to talk about The Bachelor. How much of your life is consumed by that now? Like when you wake up and you do your day every day, how much of it is like Bachelor-oriented, faced, like faceted?
Not much.
Really?
No.
Okay.
Is it the assumption that it is?
Yeah.
Based on...
Your entire social media profiles.
That's fair.
Yeah. Do you feel...
Do you think your social media profile is a direct reflection of you?
No, not at all. I mean, I try to be as like authentic, quote unquote, to use that word authenticity that gets thrown around with like social media people, as I can. I try to curate a beautiful profile. It doesn't often work that way.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to social, listen, I always joke with my friends, if I was never on The Bachelor, I wouldn't even have Instagram.
Really?
I mean, I'm older, so like, you know, before like
That's okay. My stepmom, I just found out, has Instagram, and she likes every single post now.
But before I didn't like take pictures. I mean, I dated when people didn't have a camera, like they had camera phones, but it was those shitty flip phones.
Yeah.
And if I didn't have a girlfriend,
you'd use a payphone.
I disappeared off the planet on social. Like you always knew if I had a girlfriend because on Facebook she'd be like, let's take a picture, you know? Like she'd post a bunch of pictures and then we'd break up and I'd go dark for like on MySpace. You know, that was.
And it's just you and Tom.
I was just like, well, I haven't
out.
really seen Nick in a while. It's just because like, what guy is like, hey, we should definitely take a picture. Hey,
Okay.
can you take a picture of me right now? I gotta.
Okay, but so
now I do that, but I only do it because, you know, my followers primarily Bachelor Nation, and so, you know, people ask, well, why do you only post pictures with people on Bachelor Nation? It's like, because every time I post a picture with like my hometown buddy, you're basically telling me to fuck off because you're like, I don't care. Like,
do you go
get like
through...
two likes? It's just like, yeah, we're not interested.
All right, you're giving the people what they want, I guess.
Like, I'm here for, that's why I have it. I don't.
So this seems like it causes you a lot of trauma. So I'm glad
I'm
we
very
got
stressed
right
out about
into
it.
that. I'm glad that this is a note that we're starting off with.
But yeah, no, I certainly am fortunate to have the platform that I have, and Bachelor Nation is a big part of that.
PR answer. Got it.
No, not even that. But like when it comes to work or the things I do, I obviously get asked a lot about it.
Yeah. What's the question you hate getting asked the most?
I mean, that's up there. Just no.
I'm glad that's the first one.
No, it's there's no one question. It's just more. It's the second question, whatever that is.
Oh, okay.
You know,
The
it's
follow-up.
like hey, I don't want to bother you.
Okay.
But is it real?
Yeah.
Yeah. Really? Is it though? I just told you it is. I don't believe you. But like, do you regret it? No. You don't? Are you sure? Like that.
Okay, then what's your life like outside
fine.
of Bachelor Nation?
What do you mean?
What do you do for
Like
fun? What's your deal?
I love that question. I'm assuming you get questions like that a lot.
Yeah, I get questions like that a lot.
What do you do? Like,
I sit at home and I watch reality TV and I scream at my dog.
What do I do? Well, a lot of my time recently in the past year has been spent on my essential oil company.
Yeah, okay, I want to get into that because this seems...
I brought you some.
What? Okay, we'll get
I'll give
into
you some
that.
later.
We'll get into free gifts in a second. This seems... talk us through how this happened. Is this something you've been into? Is this something that's
personally used essential oils for about 5 years. My sister...
Really?
My sister, Maria, she's a certified holistic nutritionist.
Yeah.
So she turned me on to that just because she, as a holistic nutritionist, she's obviously been big on like alternative forms of
Like homeopathic,
you know, but she's big on diet, but
Yeah.
like that expands to other things. I have terrible anxiety.
Yeah.
I just in
Welcome
life.
to the club.
Welcome
You're
to
in
life.
a
I mean,
safe
I know I'm not
space.
like a unique person. Like, hey, guess what? I'm going to admit my anxiety. And they're
No,
like, okay.
but I mean, I think finding like more natural ways of healing anxiety rather than just like popping pills.
I'm not
is,
big
like,
on I don't like
Yeah.
to self-medicate. I don't like to do that. I understand that that's not a choice other people get to make, but
Sure.
I tried to look for other forms of, and so I tried skeptically essential oils.
Okay.
And it
Because she
they helped.
recommended them
She
to you?
recommended it. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, sure, why not? You know, like, so I tried them. They helped. And
In what way did you try? Like how, for someone that doesn't know anything about essential oils, is it like you put them on your wrist, you put them on your forehead, you like...
you can do both.
Smell them.
Traditionally, essential oils, a lot of people have diffusers, and so you will
Okay.
put them in a diffuser, and you'll get pure essential oils.
that just
Essential
sort of
oil
waft through your
kind of
house.
waft through. That's certainly
Yeah.
a better alternative to candles, especially if you know the idea like candles are. You don't realize that you're literally burning toxins into the air.
Take that, Bath and Body Works. Eat shit.
I mean, it's true. Your skin is your largest organ, for those of you who don't know. And
Yeah.
anything that your organs absorb ultimately ends in your bloodstream. And so whether it's through breathing things in or applying it directly into your skin, it all ends up in your body and in
Yeah.
your blood. So when you're burning candles, you're obviously it all ends up in your body. And so people with essential oils will primarily diffuse them. You can put essential oils on your skin. We have roll-ons. You can do that.
Yeah.
You have to dilute them with a carrier oil. That can be a jojoba oil that we use. People can use almond oil or
Okay.
other cheaper oils if they want. Because essential oils they're very high in potency.
Yeah,
They
they're
have
super potent.
So if you were to put pure essential oil directly on your skin without diluting, you could, break out in a rash. You don't want to do that, which is why people would diffuse them. So either you have to dilute them or not, which is when I started using essential oils, I found it very complicated. I was just like some dude who's just like, I'll try essential oils. And then my sister's like, well, you have to do this, this, and that. And I was like,
Yeah.
like,
there's steps.
I find it a bit like there's steps, right? You can blend them. When you blend them, you can maximize their effectiveness, especially when
Blend them with other
essential oils.
Oh,
So
okay.
like you can have for example, our one blend has grapefruit oil, lime oil, and peppermint oil.
Okay.
And so when you maximize those, you can impact their medicinal effect. Again, also can be confusing. So Natural Habits is the name of the company. My goal of starting it was I wanted to make essential oil use kind of more mainstream and easier for people like me who, aren't traditionally into holistic remedies. If you're my sister, great. You're into all that stuff and you're super it down. But a lot of people
You want to be everyone's sister, basically.
I
with
want to
this
make it
company.
easy so it's more traditional. Also, in addition to that, if you aren't familiar about, I'm nerding out on essential oils.
Go
but
for
the
it.
essential oil business is predominantly the two biggest companies are multi-level marketing companies.
Okay. Oh, yeah, we just had...
Just like whatever, fine.
We learned a lot about those.
Necessarily not going to get into the whole
Listen to the Dream podcast.
whatever.
Yeah.
But I found it surprisingly interesting that it was hard for me as a user to find an essential oil company that were certified USDA organic.
Okay.
they're not as prevalent, which I found interesting given that it was almost like a contradiction of like, we're really into like holistic remedies, really important. What you put in your skin or on your body, like ends up in your bloodstream. But like, I had a hard time.
A company that was organic,
like verified organic. And then like, some of these MLM companies, like they call themselves therapeutic grade. If not to like get into it, cause like some people are very passionate.
Drag them, Nick.
If you Google therapeutic grade, it's pretty easy to find out that like therapeutic grade isn't backed by anything. Legitimate. It's like it's backed by people who are like, hey, do you want to call my stuff therapy? Yeah, I'll call it that.
We're an award-winning podcast, but that's barely.
Because my parents think it's awesome. And so that was kind of the genesis of starting it. So we sourced from 7 different farms.
And how long has this been in the making, by the way?
We working on it for over a year in terms of like sourcing the farms, getting, we don't own our own farms, right? We source from farms that can have the standards to get USDA organic certified, to assurance of any.
So you've done like your full research. You've like really like blood, sweat, and tears.
To get USDA organic certified is a whole process. You got to make sure like the soil, there's no contamination or anything like that. There's a lot that goes into that. So we are proudly USDA organic certified. We only just do blends right now. I want to keep it simple. For the average person who wants to get into it, who doesn't have the time to like read up on what blends do what. So that's kind of how it all started.
That's very cool. And so this is just the beginning of it.
Yeah, we've only been selling for since early November.
Early November. Okay. Wow. So it's very new.
It's very new. I mean, the company's been in existence for over a year, but we have only been on the market for about 3 months.
What does your sister think?
She loves it. She's a part of it. She's been
I was like, you got to give her a cut.
No, I brought her in. She's a great resource. In terms of when we were designing the blends and things like that, I got her feedback. Obviously, some other aromatherapy experts were part of that process as well. And then also like just my what I use and what helped me.
What's your go-to? Like if you had to recommend to someone that's like brand new to this kind of world of essential oils, like what's your...
I mean, peppermint's a big one just because, a lot of people use it, struggle with headaches, and I did as well. In our blend, do I have it on me?
I don't know. Are you carrying?
I bring them with me. I think I nerded out,
Wow, cool.
So, yeah.
That's great packaging.
Thanks. So peppermint, I mean, if you're just called a single oil, again, we have other blends. We use like tea tree oil in our Protect blend, eucalyptus oil, all these other, and they have a ton of different properties that can impact you and have its benefits. So
that's super. That's fascinating because I feel like you've probably been through a lot in terms of your world over the last like few years. And so anxiety is, I think, something that a lot of people struggle with, probably not on the level in which you've had to deal with it. So it's interesting to see that this is your go-to.
Yeah, I don't like to blame The Bachelor or my experience. I mean, I've always struggled with
Chris Harrison provides anxiety for all of us. So
I personally find anxiety, like for me, it's like, it's more... I'm just a heady person. I'm in my head a lot. Analytical, and that just kind of perpetuates it. The Bachelor never helped in that with the anxiety.
Wait, that didn't cure you?
But I'm certain that I'm the type of person who almost like
for the nation?
Looks for ways to get anxiety.
Totally fulfilled. What's your I can't see. I get anxious by proxy, just like understanding what your like life is and journey is. What is the most regular kind of interaction you have with people on the street that come up to you? Because I remember, this is a very funny story. So you shot a video with my friend Mamrie Hart years ago. And then we went to the Women's March the first year down in downtown LA. Yeah. And then we were like, there with our friend, like hanging out, doing our thing. And then like we were trying to leave and it was so crowded. And all of a sudden she just goes, Nick! And she like screamed at you. I was like, who are you talking to? She's like, that was The Bachelor. We shot a video in my kitchen. Yeah. And she was like, what? I was like, this is the weirdest moment. And so that was my first introduction to who you were, was my friend Mamrie screaming at you from behind at the Women's March.
Most of the time, and that was the height of, I mean, I was literally The Bachelor. And like that was maybe 2 weeks after the premiere of my season. That's interesting you bring that up, because that particular day, I mean, for the most part, 90% of the people come up are lovely, nice, just want to say hi.
Tell me about that 10%.
Maybe they want a picture. And 99% of the time, I'm like, no problem. I'll answer a few of your questions, take your picture. The Women's March, that was the first Women's March. That was the season. And I didn't take any pictures there. So I was politely I was saying no.
You were going under the radar.
Well, it wasn't that. It was just like, I didn't want to like, all of a, because what happens in those crowds, if one person asks for a picture and you say mentality. Yes, and then a bunch of people do, and all of a sudden I didn't feel comfortable showing up in a crowd that was about this like very momentous moment. And just trying to be there as a supporter.
Like, I'm not distracting from
like, I just felt really uncomfortable with that. So I didn't take pictures, and it pisses some people off. But
you owe them.
I had really interesting interaction last Saturday. Again, most people are really nice. In this particular, and I get sensitive. I mean, my resting gaze can be unpleasant.
Hold on. I just want to take that sentiment in for half a second. Your resting gaze can be unpleasant. Wow. I mean, if that's not on your Tinder bio, I don't know what you're doing.
And I'm not like consciously always being like, smile, Nick, like, I just.
Well, no, that's a much more complicated way of saying that you have resting bitch face.
Yeah. Well,
Okay, go on.
And so, yeah. And like, again, I can get anxiety or like an awkwardness.
You're a human being.
When I like being liked, but not to the point. I have some friends. I always give like, if you watch the show Ben Higgins, he is always on. Yeah. Always on.
Yeah.
He's always just like it's always this, and he's very gracious and he's very nice. And I certainly try to be, but sometimes I'm like, I don't care.
But also that's that's so much more fair because my friends are the same way that like we make fun of my friend Hannah because she becomes a cartoon character version of herself a lot of times. And then all of a sudden she'll like turn it off completely. And so it's like one or the other.
Yeah.
That there's gotta be some middle ground.
So I try my best, but in this, I went on Saturday. Mm-hmm. My buddy was in town from New York, and we just went to this restaurant bar to grab a drink. Just two guys
very
standing, just casual. And out of nowhere, this young lady, very nice, walks up with this guy. She's like, "Hey," it's kind of like, and it's one of those things. It's always tough because what I appreciate, what I would prefer, is someone just saying, "Hi, I'm so and so, big fan," or
direct.
I love. May I have a picture? Yeah. Sure. Here's a question. Thanks for answering it. Have a great night. Yep. Fine. That is ideal.
Get to the point. Yeah.
But this, like, again, like, also, I'm a few years removed. It's not like, especially in LA, I don't get it. Certain cities are different, but
and
I just go about my day. I'm not like, oh, don't look at me. Whatever. I don't even think about the show in that ends. But like sometimes when people come back and kind of tell where this is going.
Yes.
She's just like, hey, hi, and just not really saying anything, just kind of standing there looking at me. I'm like, hey. And her friend, like probably a few drinks in, is just kind of like, hey. They're just kind of like, they walk up and just say, hey. And my buddy's just like, what's up? I don't know this dynamic. Are you brother and sister? Are you dating a husband and wife? I don't know what's going on.
Happening.
And then, like she could tell, like, and clearly I'm like, I could tell this was like a Bachelor fan. She's like, well, I didn't know if I'm sorry for like awkwardly staring at you. I don't know if you noticed. And I didn't want to be a dick. I'm like, no, I didn't.
And there's no right answer to that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
right?
I noticed, or no,
also,
I didn't.
Also, the question is like, how do I know you?
Yeah.
I know you from somewhere. How do I know you? And I can't be like, TV. Because then I'm an asshole. And then I play dumb, and it's like, I don't know. No, but you were on that show, right? Okay.
I guess so.
But that Bachelor show, right? But actually, she didn't say that. But that happens all the time.
Yeah.
And so she just kind of looks at me. And I'm like, hey, and she was. You could tell she was very sweet, very nice.
Yeah.
And then her friend like kind of takes over.
Oh no.
Kind of like. I'm gonna
drive the car.
I'm gonna
right
wing
now.
this up.
Yeah.
So he just starts like awkwardly like going to my friend. She's like, so what do you like? So you live here? He's like, oh no, I live in New York. Oh, like, well, what part? And he like tells him, he's like, oh, I used to live in that part. Like making conversation. Yeah. Keep in mind, like two strangers walk up to us and just start like drilling us with questions. And he's like, well, what do you do?
So he basically had a tiny podcast.
My friend is like works in PR. So he's like, he gave a very like vague, like I work in social media PR. Oh, interesting. What specifically?
Oh God.
And just like drilling him. I'm just like, geez, that is abrasive. And like, wow. And I'm just like kind of protecting my friend. I'm like, I'm really sorry. Cause he's getting drilled. Now I appreciate this guy. He's just trying to like wing woman.
Yeah.
Like it turns out he's like married to this girl's sister.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
And again, like I don't know what to say, so I'm trying to like I don't want to date her, and I'm happy to answer a few questions, but she's just kind of hanging out looking at me, and I'm like, well, okay, I'm not.
Oh man.
I don't know. Like I'm in a tough call, right? So I just don't. I'm not very conversational. Eventually, they kind of get the point because then the guy goes, oh, and then he turns to me. He's like, oh, so do you live in LA? I'm like, yeah, I live in LA. Well, where?
Oh no!
I'm like,
no.
around? Like, do you want my address? Or like, what the fuck, dude? And again, I appreciate like they didn't.
Yeah,
it's like there's this awkwardness.
He clearly
He's
talked
trying
her,
to like.
She saw you. He talked her up and said, "I'll go over with you. Have a shot. Let's go
And
over.
here's
We'll
the thing,
say hi."
because when it comes to the Bachelor, people have this weird thing about it because it's not the same. Like a real like celebrity. It's just like, well, that's
you're attainable. You're like
it's
a
just like, well,
person.
it's like, you know, someone will be like, oh, if that's Nick, and like the brother-in-law will be like, fuck it, dude, he's on who gives a shit about this guy? Let's go talk to him. And then they get up there and they're kind of like, oh shit, what do we say now? You
and
know,
then
like,
he just goes, "What's your address?"
you know, like, where do you live? And so anyway, so then like this girl, like they leave, and the next day, like I was doing my questions with Nick, so I'll check my DMs, and she literally writes me, she's like, it's such a shame you like had to be such a jerk. I just wanted to say hi.
Wait,
and I'm just like,
she said that to you?
Yeah, and I'm like, and I get all bummed about it, and I'm like, do I ever bother writing back? And I wrote back, I'm like, not my intention. It was very nice to meet you. Have a great night.
That's incredibly kind of you
like,
to even write back.
Like the guy's just like,
you're never gonna please everyone.
But anyways, so that's like, the one percenters.
But also
that'll
that's
happen.
so funny that she got the balls to write you and be like, you were an asshole while I stared at you in silence like a normal person.
And my brother-in-law like asked you. Also, by the way, I'm of the contention that I know it's like a conversation starter, but when you ask someone, what do you do?
Yeah.
And you barely know them.
Yeah.
It's kind of an offensive question, and I don't use the word offensive lightly.
Okay.
Would you walk up to someone and within minutes of knowing them,
I would, yeah, say,
how much money do you make?
No, that's not the question.
No, but
that's
how much different is it?
That's a you problem then. That's a you problem.
No, how much different is it? Like how like absurd? Like would you do that? Would you ask someone how much money they make?
Look, I'm a YouTuber, so I've been faced with this bullshit.
I'm just talking about in general. But if you were to say, well, I'm a lawyer, I'm a teacher, there's certain different like what's incomes you can make.
But that's not the question. The question is, what do you do for a living? Because if he said, I'm a teacher, and then he goes, oh my gosh, the teacher strike, this is insane, blah, blah, blah. Now we have a new conversation.
Sure.
I'm not asking, hey, what's your tax bracket, sir?
But if I'm talking about like the first 2 minutes of meeting someone.
Yeah.
What do you do?
What do you do? What do you ask to like create actual conversation?
If I were like to walk up to a girl
stranger,
or a stranger, I don't walk up to like strangers on a regular basis.
Let's say this is a hypothetical situation. There are no consequences here.
But if I let a girl, like like that's the only time I'm walking.
Or a guy.
But
let's say you walk up to a person.
But I'm saying I don't walk up to strangers to strike conversation. Unless
psychopaths do.
In a dating situation, I might walk up to a girl. I was like, hey, she's cute. Let's
sure. And then what do you lead with?
I don't know. Maybe something witty if I can think of it. Otherwise, it's like, hey, I saw you. Like, what can I buy you a drink? Is easy. And then it's like, oh, how's your day? What'd you do?
What do you do for a living?
Oh, really? Walk up. So what do you do for work? Really? Oh.
Well, it's just that you want to get to know somebody.
Are you qualified to do this, or?
I mean, that's the weirder one. Actually,
but I'm
that's
saying,
the
like, it's a personal, like, and people can get defensive. What if you're in between jobs? What if you hate your job? What if
you say all of that? That's
like,
how you get to know somebody.
What do you think of the clouds today? It's LA. You know, I don't know. Keep it easy, but.
Then you need to write a book on exactly how to come up and talk to you specifically so that everyone can avoid having to DM you later and say that you're an asshole.
I don't think a lot of people like to answer that question. What do you do in the first minute of talking to someone?
No, I think it's you have a problem because your job is so undefined that you don't know how to answer that.
My job is not undefined. I can go all day about all the things I do 24/7.
What's your deal?
What's my deal?
Yeah.
Well, I found an essential oil company. I have a podcast. I host stuff.
Finally, you can answer this question. It's taken us 25 fucking minutes to get here.
That was vague. What's your deal? It's like, that's not what do you do? What is your deal? Like, well, my deal is I stare at the wall and contemplate life.
Yeah, that's more interesting. All right. On that note, we're going to take a quick break and then come back with more Nick Viall questions.
Viall. I know it's like the world.
Viall.
Or it's
Nick
Viall.
Viall. Nick Vu. Be right back with more
This is
Not Too
going
Deep.
great.
Not too deep.
Do you have a bunch of stuff lying around the house that you just don't use? A pair of jeans that was only worn once, or an old phone hiding in a drawer somewhere? We all have it. And now Macari is an app that can help you sell all of this stuff. They make it fast and easy to sell almost anything. You simply take a few pics of your stuff, add a description, and boom, your item is listed. Once it's sold, Macari emails you a shipping label and you just send it off. There's no meetups with strangers, no hassles. That is ideal for me. With Macari, you can sell everything from fashion to electronics and toys to sporting goods. Over 100,000 items get listed on Macari every day. Earn a few extra dollars and clear up valuable space in your home with Macari. The app has over 300,000 reviews on the App Store with an average 4.8 star rating. So why not give it a try? Don't let that stuff you don't use go to waste. Sell it, ship it, and get paid with Macari. You can find Macari on the App Store or on Macari.com. That's Mercari, Macari, the selling app.
Not too deep.
This episode of Not Too Deep is brought to you by Third Love. With more than 70 sizes, including their signature half-cup sizes, Third Love designs bras with breast size and shape in mind for a perfect fit and premium feel. You just answer a few simple questions via Third Love's Fit Finder quiz to find your perfect fit in 60 seconds. That's all. Then, thanks to Third Love's 100% fit guarantee, you can wear, wash, and put your bra to the test for 60 days. And if you don't love it, you can return it, and Third Love will wash it and donate it to a woman in need. This is hands down the most comfortable bra you'll ever own, with straps that won't slip, tagless labels, and lightweight, super thin memory foam cups. I am telling you, and I'm not lying, they have sent me a couple of their products, and I absolutely just love them so much. As a creature of comfort, they're so wonderfully, fantastically comfortable. I can't say enough good things about them. Third Love knows that there's a perfect bra for everyone. So right now they're offering you beautiful listeners 15% off your first order. Go to thirdlove.com/grace now to find your perfect fitting bra and get 15% off your first purchase. That's thirdlove.com/grace for 15% off today. We're back with Nick V.
Thanks for the
some
break,
might say.
by the way.
Yeah, I'm glad. I mean, he's just been venting. V is for venting.
I'm just trying to give you a good show.
Thank you. How's Phyllis?
Phyllis is great. Thanks for asking.
That's your grandmother.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Your beacon of hope. Your tried and
Phyllis
true
is a
ride or
savage.
die.
I've only called her Phyllis. I don't call her grandma.
Yeah, no, she doesn't look like a grandma. She
did
looks
not
like a Phyllis.
When I was born, she was in her mid-50s and she was not ready to be called
She's a badass.
a grandma. So she's always been Phyllis to me.
Does she keep up with your whereabouts?
Yeah, she's pretty on it. She's pretty hip. She's a pretty hip lady. When my dad was in high school, my grandfather left her.
Okay.
So she raised 5, this is like in the 60s.
Yeah.
She raised 5 kids on her own.
So she's a true badass.
She's a true badass. She worked in corporate America before it was like a thing for women to do that.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And so she's a big sports fan. She was my roommate for a while.
I don't know how you're not pitching that as a pilot, because that sounds like a great show.
When I was briefly engaged in my mid-20s, and we broke up, and we lived together at the time, and I was living in Milwaukee, and Phyllis lived downtown. And I preferred not to live with the girl who had cheated on me that I was engaged with. So I was like, hey, Phyllis, can I crash with you for a couple months? She was a great roommate. I mean,
I don't know. Okay,
all Phyllis does is knit until like 3 a.m. and talk sports.
Oh my!
So here's what I would do. I would go out. I'd have some beers with my friends, and I would come home. She'd still be up knitting, and I would download my night. Be like, and I met this girl, and we're not really sure.
Okay, I hope you don't have rights to this story, because I'm gonna write this pilot that you got cheated on, and then you go move in with Phyllis, and she just furiously knits.
Yeah, it's a good story. Now that I'm thinking about it, but
it's like 2 guys, a girl, but it's 1 guy and an old woman and a knitting complex.
And she's a cool hang. We'd go to brewer games and talk sports.
She sounds like the quintessential wing woman.
She's great. Yeah, she can hang.
Yeah, has she found love? Does she need it? I feel like
Phyllis
she loves
also
herself.
she wouldn't. you know, she obviously got divorced from my grandfather, and my whole life she was always dating some super rich dude. And then when he would die, she would 2 weeks later find another rich dude.
What?
It was like, I don't.
Phyllis is infinitely interesting.
Seriously, she dated the wealthiest men, and they would like die, and like 2 weeks later she'd have a new boyfriend.
Can you give me her contact info, because I would love to have her on an episode of Not Too Deep.
Probably make it happen.
Even by proxy, like remotely, if we can Skype her in, I would love to have Phyllis, because I feel like I could learn a lot.
I'm like, Phyllis,
from this
where'd you get
woman.
this very clearly expensive piece of art? Well, it was from John. What happened to John? Well, he's not with us anymore.
She's perfect.
Yeah.
She's absolutely perfect. What does she think about everything you've done with your life?
She thinks it's cool.
Yeah, I mean,
Is it not? I don't know. I mean, like I grew up in Wisconsin. Like people think it's.
Do you go home?
I always, for the holidays.
Oh, because you have a big family, right?
Yeah. Well, I always joke. Where I grew up, and I mean, it was cool to be like stopped by the 5 o'clock news. You know, be witness number 3. You'd be like, guys, go home and set your DVRs. I give my 2 cents on the street burglary that happened that I saw 300 feet away, and that was really cool. So like, you mean shit to be on The Bachelor?
Wait, how did you? Okay, give me the quickest SparkNotes version of how you got on The Bachelor.
My best friend's wife is a huge fan of the show. She watches it. I was at his house.
She nominated you,
and I made fun of her for watching the show, and then she decided to make more sense to sign me up.
So she pranked you real hard. She fully pranked you. She got you on the show that she
did.
loves that you hated.
Yeah, I didn't really. I was familiar with the premise, and I just literally I was like, "What the fuck are you watching? Like, what is this?
Yeah,
this makes no." Because I'm like, it's in the background, right? I'm like half watching it, and you hear things like, "Well, today I went on my date with Laura and I broke up with Sam," and I'm just like, and it's like, huh? What the fuck is it? Like, what are you watching?
Yeah.
And it's totally normal. It's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
Do you feel you have to watch this season?
Do I have to?
Yeah.
But no. But obviously, I get asked about it. I talk about it on my podcast.
I can't watch this season. We were just talking about that before you got here.
I think it's a great season. You don't like it?
Are
you a Bachelor fan?
I started watching after Mamrie did the thing with you. Like, she had been watching forever. I was not. I love reality TV. I'm a housewife, like through and through.
Ironically, I never watch. I mean, I don't. I've only seen.
I'm sure that there's.
I was like, everyone's yelling at each other. I don't understand why.
No, I got really high a couple months ago and watched Real Housewives for the first time, and then that's when I first realized, like by myself, I was like, oh, this is bad. They're scary and mean and yelling, and it was the first time that I like realized outside of my body.
I never really got into any other show. But anyway, like, so you have watched it.
It's recyclable TV. Like, it's like, music in the background, but it's not. Music is much more fulfilling. But so I think I started watching with a bunch of girlfriends. I think the very end of, because Raven, right, was on your season?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like that's the end. And it just was like Raven going, I've never had an orgasm before. And I was like, what the fuck is this show? And she's just wearing a giant hat in the snow is all I remember. I was just like, that was the first episode that I watched.
That was the first one.
Yeah, with a bunch of girls that were like, shh, no talking. And I was like, I have so many questions about this.
I personally am enjoying this season.
I realized this season.
What don't you like about it?
Everything.
Can you be more specific? I mean, minus the fact that if you're 29, you're a cougar.
Yeah, well, they're all 23, which is weird because they all made a big deal about Becca being like 22.
Totally. I mean, listen,
so it's all weird.
Mindless television.
Right, but then I love that Chris Harrison accidentally called the beauty queen by the wrong name. That was awesome. I was so specific and purposeful, and I was like, that's not a mistake.
But subtle.
This is scripted.
It's great.
This is fucking scripted. We also had Thomas Middleditch.
Wait, that doesn't make it scripted.
Yeah, fully does.
How does that make it scripted?
There's a producer that goes, this is going to be good TV. You just say the wrong name.
That's
He's a fucking pro.
I give a really big eye roll right there for those of that.
He's a fucking pro. There's no way.
Of course he is. Of course. Like, listen, what I always tell people, it is incredibly staged.
Here's a pot, and he just came in. No, there's a giant pot, and then he's just this big stick that comes in and stirs it. Sorry, I know a lot about the show. But tell me, what do you know about the
It's
show?
incredibly staged. It's very staged.
Yeah.
The situations are staged. Certainly Chris Harrison has a lot of inside information. And of course, he went in there being like, I'm going to like poke the
Fuck
bear.
with this. Yeah.
But what they do is they create a very staged environment and a very controlled environment with absolutely zero distractions about what except what's in front of you. And at that point, they say go.
Yeah.
And the conversations that happen after that between the Bachelor or the Bachelorette and its are very real.
I believe that. I mean, we had Thomas Middleditch on an episode, and he's a super fan of The Bachelor, Bachelorette.
Thomas
Middleditch. He's on Silicon Valley.
Okay, yeah.
He's a really great comedian, and he got to go to set and visit during Becca's season.
He's probably friends with Elon. Yeah.
And so Elon Musk.
No.
Oh.
Elon Gale. There's more than one.
Oh, okay.
Former
producer.
producer.
The producer. Yeah. And so he was like, it was the most incredible thing to see because you're watching this like date happen, but then you're watching this like echo chamber of people watching this date happen and then other people watching this date happen. And he's like, it was the most intense experience that I've ever seen. And just to hear this person that is like a comedian that does have like, very funny takes on things, think that it was the most intense thing that he's seen. I was like, yeah, I bet. You're in this fucking like...
It's the Stanford prison experiment. Have you seen that? It's not even... that's what it is.
Yeah. They put you into like a snow globe with nothing.
You become a product of your environment.
Yeah.
And just to sum up, it was basically a story about this Stanford professor that wanted to see how people would adapt in a product of their environment. And so he got a bunch of college students and he's like, okay, you 4 people are guards and you 4 people are inmates. And the guards you have it was a poor college student. So like to do the experiment, you would make money. So like they were like, well, we have to do this because we make money. And by like 3 days, they had to shut down the experiment because the guards became so abusive to the inmates and they just became a product of their environment.
Okay. Question for you about social media. Who are you obsessed with following on social media? Is there anyone that you hate follow, love follow?
I'm not. No, I mean, I'm more, for me, as a user, I get more value on Twitter.
Okay. So what's your
because
Twitter
I'm a big sports fan.
Okay.
And so I also can curate my own news. I try to have a broad spectrum, but that's where information in articles usually are leaked. So I like it for information.
Sure.
As a sports fan, it's great to.
Okay, this is going to come out after the Super Bowl, but what's your prediction of the Super Bowl?
I mean, I guess I hope the Rams win because, like,
as a sports fan, that's a very lax answer.
I was really hoping for a Chiefs-Rams game.
Oh,
and good on the Patriots. Hey, it's impressive what they've done, but it's just getting a little.
It's boring.
It's like,
As you
I'm a Packer fan. I'm a little butthurt. They haven't been in the playoffs for 2 years.
Wisconsin. That's right.
I'm just not as excited for the Super Bowl this year because of that. But that's and so in terms of my favorite follows, I don't know. I mean, there's no one's blowing my mind on Instagram.
Okay. Wow. All right.
I mean, it's kind of oversaturated now. It's who's blowing your mind. Like who are just like can't wake up, be like, oh, have they posted?
Mr. Bubs is blowing my mind. It's this dog that only goes all the time.
And is it how recently have you been following Mr. Bubs?
Like the last 4 weeks.
4 weeks. How sustainable do you think this
maybe
excitement?
Another day and then I'll be done.
And that's the thing. Like I'm certain that I've
but also, I will say, Mark Ruffalo on Twitter blows my mind.
Is he good?
He's great. He's so politically active. He's also just like tongue in cheek. He's just like so in the know of his own like brand, his own like self, and he just like does whatever he wants. He doesn't feel like he's owned by any studio. It's just like he is very cool on Twitter. So I'm just gonna put that out there.
I'll have to
Sorry that
Mark.
I have like genuine like for people.
I like that. But no, I mean, I don't like. I have like for people, not necessarily their.
Yeah,
but I have people I follow. I enjoy following. Ryan Reynolds is pretty good when he's not on there much, but when he does, it's pretty good.
Yeah, he's very special.
I follow The Rock. I don't know why.
I do too. I mean,
what
we
is
all
it?
know
It's
why.
like we have to because it's like
currency. It's social currency.
Is that what it is? Because I like very impressive what he's done.
Yeah,
I have an acting coach. I've dabbled in it. So when people say to me who's ever made it, and I'm like, well, The Rock was a wrestler. And I'm not comparing myself to The Rock, but in terms of someone who's gone from a reality TV show, which is wrestling, to become the biggest movies, he's a motivation there. He also laughs at his own jokes before he tells them. And I have a big issue with that for human beings.
Okay.
Doesn't that
go on?
Don't you think so? When someone's like, so you get asked a question, and if it's like an awkward question, it's just like, hey, what do you think about this? You're like, well, let me tell you, it's like this insincere laugh that people, you know what I'm talking about. People, The Rock does it all the time, and it really, I'm not a huge fan of that. I'm like,
I've never heard
he's
anyone
about to
drag
spew some
The Rock
bullshit
on this podcast. This is really.
I'm about to get crucified. I like The Rock. He's like, what he's done is really great, but he laughs at his own jokes all the time.
Okay.
I'm like, come on, Rock.
I will be more
he is a
cognizant.
hustler, and I respect it, and he's very talented.
Also, I would challenge The Rock to post an Instagram with no caption and see what happens, because his captions are just essays, full essays, full TED Talks.
He's doing something right. He's doing something right.
Speaking of acting, you were in a Christmas cruise.
Yeah, I've never seen it. How's it?
You haven't seen it?
No.
Okay. What was your part in a Christmas cruise?
I was Bob, the hotel cruise manager.
Okay.
Which is funny because I shot it last year. I never saw it. So it came out for the holiday season last year. And
but it's going to be played every Christmas season,
starring
right?
Vivica A. Fox. And I had a couple scenes with Vivica. I thought that was pretty cool.
You and Viv? You and the Viv?
But apparently it blew up. I mean, I don't want to say blew up this holiday season because no one really like tagged me. But all through Christmas, everyone's like tagging me. Like,
that's great.
That was kind of fun.
That's super fun. Okay, what's your ideal role to play if you're taking acting lessons and you're doing that whole shtick? What's your goal?
My ideal role. I mean, when it comes to my acting career, I've been lucky enough to get some roles. I was on Speechless. I did a guest star role on Teachers.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to take my time. I've actually I turned down a lead role in a movie that I just didn't think I was good enough to carry a movie on my own. I felt like I was being stunt casted in terms of and the advice I've gotten from some other people in the industry is that there should be one thing about a role that you should take it. Maybe it's money. Maybe it's just like, hey, listen, dude, I'm gonna be honest, it's not gonna be great, but we're gonna pay you a shit ton of money. You're like, okay.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's the director or script or some other actor you get a chance to work with. And this particular role didn't have any of that. And I didn't feel comfortable enough. And I thought they had a really good chance of being bad. When it comes to my acting career, I'm doing the work. I have a coach. I work every week on it, and I would rather play the long game. I'm lucky enough that I don't have to book a role to make a living. Yeah. And so I'd rather play the long game so that if I'm lucky enough to book a few smaller roles with some legitimate shows or other actors, that I have an opportunity for people to look at and go, huh, it's actually better than I thought. I think that's kind of my acting plan.
That's incredibly smart of you, though. Because
if it takes 5 years to do that, then great.
That's great, though, because you want the right part at the right time. It's all a timing situation. I think that's like very, very, very self-aware of you to do that kind of situation, because especially out here, like you take every opportunity that's given to you because you don't know if there's going to be another one, and then unfortunately sometimes they're bad opportunities.
And it's not like as if Bob, the hotel cruise manager, was like, yeah, this is going to be great. And it was fine. But, I got to literally.
It's sticky and fun.
It was
and
Vivica A. Fox.
You and the Viv.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that's great.
And, and that was also my very first movie. So I had to do something.
And it's going to be replayed every holiday season.
Every holiday season.
So.
And the only thing about that is when I booked the role, I had an audition. And at first it was just hotel cruise manager. And my agent, being the wonderful, talented agent that she is, made sure that I got a name, a title, and that I got some frontline credits.
They gave you Bob.
And then it came up with Bob. They had the entire list of names in front of them. They could have put any name.
Bob is great.
Bob.
I think that's more memorable than a James, than a Chris, than any of that. Bob is great.
Maybe they're like, you know what? Fine. You want to make us give him a name?
Fuck him. He's gonna be Bob.
Bob. All the Bobs out there. I've offended The Rock and all the Bobs of the world.
Yeah, and those are the only people that listen to this podcast are Bobs and The Rock. So we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we're going to get into the Twitter questions because there's a lot. I mean, as you can imagine. We'll be right back with Nick Vince here on Not Too Deep.
Do I sound angry?
No, as you clutch your essential oil.
I have a lot to say.
Not too deep.
This episode of Not Too Deep is brought to you by our dear, dear BFFs over at Squarespace. Turn your dream into a reality with Squarespace. They make it easier than ever to launch your passion project, whether you're looking to start a new business, showcase your work, publish content, sell products, and more. Squarespace is the tool for you. They have beautiful templates created by world-class designers and the ability to customize just about anything with a few clicks, so you can easily make a beautiful website yourself. Squarespace's powerful e-commerce functionality lets you sell anything online, and analytics help you grow your site in real time. Everything is optimized for mobile right out of the box, and there's nothing to patch or upgrade ever. Buying domains is simple, and you'll get the help you need with Squarespace's 24/7 award-winning customer support. Squarespace empowers millions of people, from designers to lawyers, artists to gamers, even restaurants and gyms, to turn great ideas into something. Head to squarespace.com/grace for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use the offer code GRACE to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. That's squarespace.com/grace, offer code GRACE.
Not too deep.
Ever finished a workout feeling sore, too exhausted to function? Not with Viall. Viall is the opposite of a grueling, high-impact, painful workout. It's a completely science-based method based on mastering precise movements that activate hard-to-reach muscles to create beautiful, natural muscle tone in less time using less energy. Stream workouts ranging from 15 to 60 minutes with new classes each week on the Viall app or online. Shape calls Viall, quote, the burns so good workout that Victoria's Secret angels swear by it. What is not to love about that? Download the app, watch tutorials, and see dozens of before and after pics. Then try Viall free for 1 month and get 50% off the premium Viall equipment kit at Viall.com/grace. This is the best deal that they have anywhere. Get a free trial for 1 month and 50% off the premium Viall equipment kit at Viall.com/grace. Once more, that's Viall.com/grace. Okay, we're going to get into some Twitter questions with you, Nick. But before we do, I'm going to ask you the 2 questions I ask every single guest that's on the podcast.
Yes.
And the first is, who, alive or dead, would you most want to throw cold spaghetti at?
Cold spaghetti at?
Yes, sir.
I have so many follow-up questions. Live follow-up? I mean, I guess alive. I don't have anything against the dead. They're already dead. It's kind of a dick move. Be like, hey, come back. I have one more thing to do. The Rock. No,
I mean,
he needs a. I love The Rock, but he could use some cold spaghetti.
yeah,
in his face.
I think that's. Have we had anyone?
I
say
could
The Rock?
picture The Rock getting cold spaghetti thrown on his face.
Yeah.
And then awkwardly laugh about it, pretending it doesn't bother him, but just fuming on the inside. No one throws spaghetti at The Rock. But he would do the deep down and be like, I have a great sense of humor.
I like that.
Right?
We're uncovering the Nick Viall Rock vendetta.
I love
today,
The Rock, but like
here now. It starts here.
When was the last
It's
time
only
anyone
gonna
had the
grow.
balls to check The Rock? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll be honest, I'm a little terrified. I don't. It's either The Rock or Ariana Grande. Do not mess with them.
She's the rock of the music industry right now. I also don't like. I joke a lot about people that definitely do not listen to this podcast, listening to this podcast. I don't put it past The Rock to maybe listen to this podcast. I feel like he's one of those people that like...
He does his homework. He's aware.
He doesn't, because he doesn't sleep at all.
He can't, right?
No, he's a mummy.
I know Instagram isn't real and people like pretend about like how busy they are with all their meetings, but he's legit doing a lot of shit. How does he have the time?
He brings his treadmill with him to hotel rooms.
And he literally sets up a giant gym wherever he goes, the Iron Paradise.
Oh, God. Maybe it's just jealousy now. Okay, the other question.
What he's doing is truly impressive. I mean, it really, and he is someone like, I mean, again, I'm like, I don't want to, they're like, when people are like mocking, like, why are you trying to do this? I'm like, no one's ever done it. I'm like, well, I'm sorry, but the biggest movie star in the world used to be a wrestler.
And that's okay, because wrestling is my favorite form of entertainment.
No, it's fine, but it's still like a real, it's not, back in the day,
theater.
There's a transition that needs to happen, and he definitely did it, and he's kicking ass.
Yep. So maybe we're all speaking
But
out of jealousy.
he laughs at his own jokes.
Yeah, so he's terrible. Okay.
I've never said he's terrible. He's great.
Okay, the other question I ask every single guest is tell us your worst pants shitting story or close call, but you can only use 3 words or 3 small phrases or some combination. So mine, for example, is college, jogging, front lawn.
I mean, I ran track in college.
Okay.
This is that.
All right. Cool
I
story.
have a few, but there's this cereal that I have.
Well, you can only use 3 words or 3 small phrases.
I'm not long-winded. Cracklin' Old Bran. Running woods.
All right. Hey, that's very similar to my story.
Lots of fiber in that cereal.
Yeah, wow. Also, Spawn, not Spawn,
5
but
mile
Wish.
run. I was just like, oh, you feel it. You're like, wait,
no,
I should
that's
not
my-
have had 2 bowls.
College jogging front lawn. I don't know why I decided to run 12 miles today. And at mile 6, the furthest possible place from my house is when the body starts to digest. Very fun. Okay. So I want to know, on average, how drunk were you during the filming of your Bachelor season?
Not that I'm not a big drinker.
Okay.
And people make way big of a deal about the alcohol on the show. It's available.
Yeah.
And you are often bored. And some people, when they're bored, drink a lot.
Yeah.
And some people don't. And I don't.
That's a very politically correct answer.
I mean, it's also just what
The answer.
the answer. Everyone's like, oh, how do they like make you drink as if like you have to be on The Bachelor?
There's just
you
like
have to, like,
IVs of vodka
no,
going
before
in.
we start, everyone take your 5 shots. You know, like that doesn't happen.
Yeah. Oh, that's good to know. Someone wants to know, what's his greatest work as of now?
Like, what am I most proud of kind of thing?
I guess. However you want to interpret that. I mean, I feel like you're really fucking pumped on this Natural Habits
I
brand,
am.
which I just got privy to the full packaging.
I'm
which
sincerely
is,
proud of that. And
it's
I
really
love
beautiful
that, but
and it
kind of,
smells amazing. I just got to smell a bunch of them.
Thank you.
And they're great.
I'm very proud of that. But a more fun answer would be I do have, and I was recently shown a clip of it, an episode of Family Guy coming out where I play myself. I'll show you when we leave.
What? Wait, you're on Family Guy?
I'm on Family Guy.
That's insane.
I'm playing
That's
myself.
So
It's
cool.
a quick beat. It's a quick cut too.
But still, that's fucking awesome.
So that has been the highlight of
Holy
everything,
shit.
of all the things that have come from being on the show. That is
That's fucking
really
rad.
cool. I'll show you when we leave.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's something to be super fucking proud of. That's very cool. Someone wants to know, has he gotten dumped again recently? Hell yeah, I listened to his podcast.
Well, I opened up. Thank you. I opened up my episode 1 of my podcast by kind of playing. I mean, I did. I mean, in a sense, I was hanging out with this girl, and she decided that we were hanging out too much, and I've since heard from her plenty of times. But I dug her, and I was curious about her in the sense that I don't get curious very often, very easily at this point in my life. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't know. Like maybe it's cynical. Maybe it's just getting older and having like when you're younger, you meet someone, you're like, I don't know. Maybe should we get married? I like you, you know. And when you get older, you're like, I don't know. You seem fine.
You have standards and practices. Yeah, you get
and
bitter. You get bitter.
Well,
I think.
don't know. Listen, sure, you can say that, but I think it's just
Or you get more realistic.
It's a combination of like when you're younger, you're naive and lack perspective, but like the world's a little bit more exciting and you take risk. When you're older, you get in perspective and that's helpful in life too.
Sure.
But as a result, it can be perceived as cynicism because you're just like, nope,
Well, you're
done that.
practical.
You're practical. So
Yeah.
it's just a little less exciting. So anyways, yeah,
So you got excited about someone that was like, never mind.
But I've heard from her plenty of times since then.
All right.
That's just my ego saying she actually likes me.
Whereas the plenty of times is her going, please stop calling me.
Please stop calling me.
Please stop contacting me. You're like, she keeps writing back.
No, no, it's one of those like poke-ins, like, don't forget about me. I'm still here. If I ever decide we want to hang out again.
Oh, so you're one of those like, you're a break glass in case of emergency person for her.
Maybe I didn't like have. I mean, my real thought is like we actually dug each other, and she doesn't want to have a boyfriend, and it was like,
Oh yeah, that's a better way to think of it.
that's a better way. My ego is like very like you are you're the man of her dreams, but she can't
doesn't
commit to
realize
you
it
yet.
Yeah.
So she's I don't know.
So just
But
simmer on the stove.
either way, yeah, we stopped hanging out. So
Well, okay.
the journey continues.
The journey continues. Someone wants to know, what's the best advice you've ever been given?
Don't sweat the small stuff.
Oh, okay. That seems cliche, but that's real.
It's good. I mean, I like it. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. I like that one.
Yeah. Okay. That's very, very true. I remember one time I listened to a talk that Snoop Dogg gave, and Snoop Dogg said, I surround myself with people, so I'm the dumbest person in my whole team. And I was like, that was the most intelligent thing I've ever heard. He's like, I don't want to be smarter than anyone on my team.
No. I also like that's great advice. Also, like I also point out, like, there's been a red flag for me of dating is, and I've done this and recently, and you meet someone, and if I notice that amongst her friends, she's clearly like the queen, she's clearly the prettiest one, and all her friends revere her. Yeah. To me, that's a red flag.
Oh yeah.
You know, because it's just like she's clearly chosen her friends to like validate her, and it's just I've realized and it's very difficult to live up to that person's expectations as a partner if you're not a pushover. Yeah,
when you get chosen, how can you be part of it?
But that's kind of the same vein of someone who has the confidence to be in a room where they're learning from other people, and they know they're maybe not the smartest or they're not the king or the queen.
The confidence to feel inadequate.
Or just like to want to be around your equals or people who you admire or you look up to, role models, mentors, things like that.
Yeah, it's a lack of ego. Someone wants to know, describe your first kiss in 3 words.
Awesome. It was great.
It was great. There you go.
It was great. I was very excited. She was short. I'm tall. She was standing. It was on a street curb, so she was kind of that cute. Like, she was on the street curb. We made out, and then I was like in the 8th grade. I sprinted home. I was at my friend's house, and I've never ran. And I was a track star and kid. Yeah. I just like pure excitement. I was like just like movie or just like sticking my hands. I vividly remember it. I'm going back to I was very thrilled. First time I had sex was different. I was terrified. I was like, what the fuck just happened? I was like, oh my God. Like, I'm pretty sure she's pregnant and I probably have a disease, like.
Wow. Okay. Well, I think that's the perfect way to end this podcast. Nick, thank you for making time. But before you leave, we give everyone a gift for being here, and it's a personalized.
I'm taking notes. I have this new podcast, and you have this a lot of nice structure. And
yeah. I mean, we've been doing it for 5 or 6 years.
It's really great. I'm just kind of like, hey, do you want to talk about some shit? All right, thanks for coming. Bye.
Yeah. No, teach their own.
Do you want me to say in bed or something?
Oh no.
Should just. Did you write these?
Perhaps.
Because I haven't read this yet, but it's long.
Yeah, that's what they all say. That's what she said.
Some of your past teachers have brought your essential oils as support. Oh, great. And some of those people likely use it as lube. But that's literally their business, so stay out of it.
Yeah.
Interesting. Essential oils. It's funny being the guy from The Bachelor who had some sex on it and was like jokingly known as the sexual bachelor. So when I come out with an essential oil company, the immediate thought is like some sort of like sex oils. So essential oils are not that. Like, I would not recommend masturbating with
the peppermint
oils.
Oil. I feel like
first of all, it's a terrible lubricant. It's going to absorb right into your skin real fast.
It's going to make you really less anxiety, but
if your dick has a headache, it might help, but other than that.
Okay, Nick, where can people actually find these essential oils to use them for the essential purposes? You didn't have to eat that cookie, by the way.
It is stale. It's not.
That's not meant for eating.
Thanks for the heads up. If you give me a cookie, I'm going to eat it.
It is technically edible. Okay, but where can people find you?
NHOils.com. NH Oils. So Natural Habits on Instagram.
Cool. At Natural Habits on Instagram.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then NHOils.com.
And then
the website.
Cool. Where can people find you?
Nick Viall on Instagram. Mm-hmm. That's fine. Viall Nicholas. I'm very insecure about my Twitter handle.
You said you like Twitter. It took me so long to find your Twitter to be able to post to ask for questions the other day.
It's Viall Nicholas 28, which was my AOL Instagram. AOL, when I was in college, I came up with that
screen name.
It was my screen name, and someone was like, "Hey, get a Twitter." I was like, "I'll just use this."
Yeah, of course.
Because I had
makes sense.
I didn't need people to find me.
Sure.
I didn't care. And then I had it, and then I got like verified overnight, and then you can
change it.
Even if you're verified?
Mm-hmm. Where can people find your new podcast?
The Viall Files. On Instagram, Viall Files, or my Instagram, or Viall Files on iTunes.
Awesome.
Or YouTube. You can watch it on YouTube. It's available if you,
there you go.
Want to watch us. Maybe you'll come on one day.
Yeah, I would love to. Look out in the future. I will be on the Viall Files, co-hosting, talking about all the things, just fully shaming the Rock.
I feel like I'm going to need some more structure.
I'm happy to provide sort of that. Thank you, Nick, for being here.
It's
Go
burger
check
cookie.
out everything that he's doing.
Not the best,
Also, check out Natural Habits. It really smells amazing. So, and it's USDA organic.
Anxiety, headaches,
all of it.
mental clarity, body detox.
That's what we all are trying to
That's
figure
a dream,
out.
right?
Mm-hmm. We'll see you guys next time on another episode of Not Too Deep. Goodbye.
Too deep, too deep, too deep, not too deep with Grace Helbig.
This episode of Not Too Deep is brought to you by Mercari. It is a selling app that makes it fast and easy to sell almost anything. You just take a few pics, add a description, and boom, your item is listed. With buyers in all 50 states, stuff really sells and everything ships easily, so there's never any awkward meetups. You can find Mercari on the App Store. That's Mercari, Mercari, or go to Mercari.com.
Not too deep.
Viall, a completely science-backed workout method based on mastering precise movements to create beautiful muscle tone in less time using less energy. They are sponsoring this episode of Not Too Deep. And get into this. Download the app, watch tutorials, and see dozens of before and after pictures. Then try Viall free for 1 month and get 50% off the premium Viall equipment kit at viall.com/grace. This is the best deal they have anywhere. Get a free trial for 1 month and 50% off the premium Viall equipment kit at viall.com/grace. That's viall.com/grace.